down and listen to records. Smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on Vinyl and Vision.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here is episode 140. Today's very special guest is Matthew Brennan IV. Matt is a wonderfully talented person. No pun intended there. He is an amazing visual artist. He has his own company which creates custom artwork called Thangs. And he's been very successful with that. I mean, I encourage you to follow the links in the show notes to his website and so forth, and find some of that work. It's truly spectacular. It's super colorful and exciting, and really kind of like funky artwork. The concept is, we explain the concept in our conversation, so you hear all about it. He also has a show for his artwork coming up in August, so that's coming up very soon. Links and dates will be provided in the show notes for that as well. Another reason why we were talking was because he is the lead singer of the band, Mr. Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful has released this tape, Postcoital Jams, through our label, Psychic Static. As you can see here, Psychic Static. This is the tape, cellophane wrapped, which is a very interesting package for a cassette tape. I opened one in our conversation, and so in the video you will see me unbox this. For the first time publicly we've unboxed one of these things, but essentially it's a cassette tape, and it's a great album. I mean, Mr. Wonderful is a really great band. They are a self-proclaimed punk rock party band, and it's all about good vibes. I don't exactly remember the way that Matthew explained it to me in this conversation that we had, but I mean, yeah, it's a good time, good vibes band. They have kind of a little bit of a gimmick, which is kind of why something like this makes sense. But I really like those guys. They're a wonderful band, super fun, super energetic. I encourage you guys to see them whenever you can. They have a few shows coming up, which they mention, and hopefully have something in the city of Providence in August. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this talk was great. Topic of conversation was Matt's choice, Oxbow's and Evil Heat. If you are here because you know that album, I did my best with it. As you might imagine, as someone that might know that album, it's a pretty difficult one to get into. Very complicated, very complex music, very shrouded lyrics. The concept of the album is not necessarily a great concept to be discussing publicly. But it is a wonderful album. It is really cool. I'm so glad that I got to dig into it finally. And I don't know, as far as connections between Oxbow and Mr. Wonderful, not a lot really, not a lot there. Obviously Matt's taken a lot of inspiration from it, but for what he does, I'm not sure if there's a good through line there. Either way, I think that both of them are fantastic bands. I think both of them are things that you should be looking into and listening to when you have an opportunity to. Links in the bio will be available for where you can find this on our Bandcamp page. There are still a few copies left, and they are numbered. So I don't know where we are in the numbers right now because I wasn't given them sequentially. But there's some floating out there, and there's a few left. So we'd love it if you picked one up. Otherwise, things you can do to help support the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. All we ask is that you like, share, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all of those things. They help us out immensely, and they don't cost you a thing. If you do care to chip in a few bucks, you can pick up one of these tapes for sure, as well as any other Psychic Static release. Releases from the band are up there. Obviously, the Hammer Party's discography is available. New band Muffin, for any of you that like female punk rock. Muffin is wonderful, amazing band. And what else do we have? We might have some new stuff coming, maybe. We will figure that out soon. So thank you very much, folks. Enjoy this conversation. All right, so cool. I'm here with Matt Matt Brennan, right?
Yep, that's me, Matthew Brennan the Fourth.
Okay. So we're not calling you Mr. Wonderful today?
We could go, I could do Matt, I could do Mr. Wonderful. I will respond to anything.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, Mr. Wonderful, it's just like, I can't even call you Mr. W for short, because, like, phonetically, it's actually the same amount of, like, syllables, right?
Yeah, right. Somehow it just flows even better than it would with, MW is more clunky than Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So, I mean, we're having this talk for a couple of reasons, but one of them is that we put out the tape for you guys for Mr. Wonderful's post-coital jams, and I brought a copy.
Oh, yeah.
I brought a copy so that maybe I can finally open one.
Oh, do it, yeah.
Because I don't know how you felt about it, but it's just like, I feel like the packaging is so pristine that, like, it's like such a novelty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like to use that word because I don't like to kind of like minimize like the release itself and like the music, but I mean the actual physical media of it and the presentation is like so novel that like I didn't want to open one.
I have actually heard this from multiple people who bought it, where they were like, even though they know that there's cool stuff in it, and I'm not sure if it's just the shrink wrap of it all,
yeah.
But there's just something about like collector's item about it, and I think we're conditioned a little bit now to be like, well, if you unpackage it, it's not the
as
thing
valuable anymore.
Yeah, it's like loses. But to me, I'm like, we made this to have fun. I was the first person I met that actually smoked the cigarette. I was so pumped. I was like, okay, how was it? And they're like, well, it was chocolate.
Yeah.
And it was herbal. It was not enjoyable. And I was like, well, did you use the condom? And they're like, well, no. And, inappropriate.
Didn't have the opportunity to. Actually, no, I'm looking forward to that too. I mean, I've been married for 18 years now. So it's like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
But the novelty of it, I'm just like, we could try it.
Yeah.
Just to even see how it works. I mean, like, this is a sponsorship from, what's the name of it? One,
yeah. One Condoms. They're up in Massachusetts. Actually, tonight they moved their company from Seaport up to, I think it's Lynn. They're like on the North Shore now, which I love the North Shore of Massachusetts. It's like way cooler place. But super nice people, and they're doing a lot with condom sponsorships of bands. And then we reached out to them because a friend was sponsored by them and said, we have this crazy idea, and they were all in favor of it. And they do tins. They give you a bunch of tins with your band printed on it to give out, and each tin has like a condom and some lube and instructions and information. And then I thought that's what we were going to get, and that we would just have one condoms in the release, but they gave us a bunch of Mr. Wonderful branded condoms, which I was over the moon about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the packaging looks great. I saw the tins. It has everything you need in it. It's a party in a box.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And doing good, Maybe somebody feels the love from Mr. Wonderful, feels a little romantic. They got a rose. They're able to give that to someone, and then,
hopefully they get something in return.
Exactly. They just end up with having the package they need for that night.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great marketing idea for a condom company. I think it's great that they're reaching out to bands to kind of like brand these condoms specifically for them. I mean, because I think Mini Beast did it one too.
Oh, did they?
I think so. Yeah. Because I mean, it has to be the same company. Because I mean, how many companies around here are branding condoms for bands?
Yeah, and I mean, the band that I found out about it from was a Seattle band or Olympia band.
Yeah.
It's like they're pushing it out. I mean, it reminds me of like, I don't know. You were involved in music in like the aughts, and like there was that PBR push where they were like, every weird show, every band, they were coming around saying like, here's merch, here's free beer, here's stuff, and like that push worked.
Sure.
As far as like becoming a fun thing.
Right. I think Rolling Rock had a like a, what do they call that? Like a marketing campaign with bands or something.
Really.
Narragansett, of course, locally too. They were helping out some bands for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart. I mean, people are doing weird projects, and they have people that might be interested in whatever thing. So I mean, especially something like just safe sex, I think bands are all going to be like, yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
Why not? I mean,
Of course. I mean, it works for the bands, I guess. You know, I mean, like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like a Monster Energy drink sponsorship or something. Where you're like,
Not like that's the worst thing in the world either, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this is kind of more speaks more maybe to maybe our own interests. I don't know. Mr. Wonderful I see as like this kind of like sexy punk like party band.
That's exactly the vibe we're going for.
Yeah. No, you
we
guys do
just
well.
Want like good times, good vibes, with a romantic bent to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And responsibility too is like it kind of is wrapped into it. I mean, you guys did the David Morales benefit show recently, which obviously you guys are conscientious of like the politics of the city. Just I mean, probably on a global level, but I mean, on a micro level in our city alone, like in our city that we live in, he's obviously like a really good candidate for the position. He seems like totally like a really sweet guy. Seems like he knows what he's talking about. He seems like he obviously is tuned into what we need as like residents of this city. I don't live in Providence anymore, but I mean I used to,
Yeah.
and I do love the city. So anything he's going to do to help people stay here and feel comfortable here is like I'm all for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're very lucky to have him in our city. It's just like on a personal level, he is a great dude. He's like a great friend.
Yeah.
He showed up to the very first Mr. Wonderful show. Like he
Really?
just like, I mean, how I met him was he came to an art opening of mine at AS220 just because he was my state representative. He saw I was having an art show in the like neighborhood group or whatever, and he just showed up to support. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we have our friends that show up and support for us, and you always notice that and you recognize like what you don't have to, but you're there.
Right.
And he is one of those, but he's also just he was my state rep, and I saw what he was doing, how he was fighting, and how much energy he has, and how much he appreciates all the communities that are forgotten about, that are left out, you know,
Right.
that are, you know, Providence. I love it, and there's so much great energy here, and it calls itself the creative capital, and it needs a person who recognizes what that actually is.
Right. Yeah. Super important.
Yeah.
You know. Well, I mean that's super cool. It reminds me how I don't really know a lot about you. So let's go back to like the beginning. I mean, so where were you born and raised?
Ooh, so I'm a more complicated one of those. Was born technically in California, but when I was, you know, between 6 months and a year, I moved out to rural Virginia. Lived there until third grade, and then went up to Northern Virginia outside D.C., where I did middle school and high school. Moved around a couple times within there.
Oh, okay.
But then went to college outside Philly in Pennsylvania. Then traveled around a bunch and landed in Seattle, Washington. I was out in Seattle for 13 years, and that was like a real big kind of piece of my life. That's where
Sure.
I really kind of felt like I, you know, became a person.
Yeah.
And then...
And this is all after college.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then I came out to Boston in 2018 with my wife for a job, and we were in Boston for a couple of years and wasn't a great fit. And then we found Providence and just love it. It's the perfect fit. I feel great here.
Yeah.
So been here for 6 years now.
Cool, man. From Boston, from Seattle. All right, so you were saying in Seattle, like what brought you out to Seattle?
So between college and finding Seattle, I did a lot of traveling. I moved down to Virginia for a little bit to help raise my sister, whose mom had just passed away, my half-sister. And then I had a lot of friends in bands, and I would go on tour with them and sell merch for them and sell like pieces of my art. And so I travel around the U.S. and around Europe a lot. And so I just kind of got to a point where I didn't need to be in Northern Virginia anymore. I made like a little list of places I liked, and I just kind of landed on Seattle, which was probably the most far away one. But
and that being the reason, so like get me the far fucking away from this place as I can.
It wasn't. I don't know what. I think I mean I whittled it down to like 5 cities. This is like 2004, 2005, and I whittled it down to like 4 cities. And I can't remember what was on there, but I just kind of picked, and I was like, I'm doing this, and packed my car up and drove out there. And I mean, I didn't have. It's kind of wild to think of, doing that now. You could never do that, but back then I just showed up with a car full of stuff, drove across the country, didn't have any savings, didn't have a job, didn't have a place to live, found a shitty apartment for like $200 a month or something. And like got a job and made it work, but like couldn't do that now. But I was able to do it then, and I'm grateful because ended up working out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those experiences, a growing experience. Traveling, moving can be a huge part of that. Going back to what you were saying about Virginia, you grew up in rural Virginia. Where? Roanoke, by chance?
No, this was more center of Virginia, kind of near Charlottesville, a little bit more, but like rural sticks, like a farm, like a farmhouse from the 1850s out in the middle of nowhere. My parents moved us out there. It was kind of a great place, especially that time period. It's just growing up, on an old farm, running around in the woods and shit it was great. It was a great place to do that there. But I am glad I got kind of closer to a city at the point I did in life.
Sure. Well, so I mean, like growing up in that house, I mean, like, what do you remember of music?
My parents were both into music, which was nice. My dad probably more so, and my mom was along for it, even though she was like real big Beatles person. But my dad was 70s guy, so like Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, that sort of stuff. Big Bob Seger fan. So like that 70s rock, and they had record player and records, which I inherited a lot of. The Doors were another one. So that was fun. I got off a lot better than I think a lot of people I know did with their parents' taste in music. And that's when you're a kid, you just listen to whatever's in front of you, and you like it based on a whim or something. But I think it was a really good building block, more so than Baby Shark or whatever sort of thing.
Well, I don't think that was around when you were a kid, but but I mean, it is an interesting thing to think about. Like I know I think about this, but I don't think I've ever actually verbalized it in any way. Is like how, like you say, it's just kind of like what's there, like you kind of just take in whatever's around you. But I mean, having a dad that is into rock music and has a record player and likes stuff like Led Zeppelin and the Doors and Jimi Hendrix, I mean, those are pretty good like rock bands. So I mean, like, do you think like growing up, like rock was just kind of like ingrained into you, or did you push back against it just because it's there and it's a dad and you're like, well, I should find my own thing? Not really.
Oh, I mean, eventually I did, definitely. I mean, eventually I got to the point where I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going out and finding bands. But at that point, I mean, kids do have some sort of direction they want to head in, I think. Like, and it's just like a general thing. It's almost like, you think of food, and instead of being like, I like cupcakes, I like sweets, like, it's a palate, but it's really just, I mean, all kids have dog shit taste in music. Like, it's not, anyone who's like, that's, if you're real nostalgic about, I love this band because I liked it when I was a kid, is like, well, you should look at that. I mean, it's like kids have bad taste in music, all of us. And if you put some good stuff in front of you, I think maybe, I don't know. It's hard to know, because I've also known kids where you try to put more complex things in front of them as a basis, and they still gravitate towards what they like anyway. They're just gonna ignore that. You can't ever actually steer the ship, I don't think.
Right. Well, did you ever have any influences? I mean, like, speaking about kids and how kids don't really like good stuff, but you're influenced by the people around you and like kids you went to school with or something. Like, sometimes you feel like you need to impress them, or you need to latch on to them. You'd be like, whatever they like, I'm going to do. So, I mean, like, how was that for you? Or was there anyone in your life that you can think about that was like kind of a big influence on you, that kind of was like steering you in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't. I mean, it's what I was talking about. I was really glad that my parents moved me closer to a city when they did, and it was less of one single person. I found my way to Metallica first. I think that was like a band that was like founded on my own, and it was pre-Black Album, so it was like Injustice for All, and maybe it was like MTV Headbangers Ball or something. I found it, and I found like Black Flag and stuff like that, and then I started gravitating. But I really kind of was outside DC. This is when Fugazi was in their prime, and I didn't like them then, but there was this thriving scene of weird music in DC. There was a lot of bands just doing strange things, you know, and so I just started going to shows, and that really influenced me as far as like my musical tastes. Sure. Like the bands I found there would lead me to other bands, and the record stores would lead me to other bands. You know, that was definitely how I found out. So it wasn't a person, but a collection of people.
Sure.
I mean, I think I went to my first house show when I was like 15, 14, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I was just, that was what we did. That was how we had fun, was like going, seeing live music.
Right. Well, so what did you say? What was that show?
Oh, that show, it was a bunch of shitty local bands. I think the one I remember was Positive State, who are a DC band. They didn't really amount to much, but they were really cool. Kind of almost like, I don't know, Snapcase, but a lot weirder. Another band I saw a lot of was Frodis, who they reached like a little bit bigger, but they were still a very local band. Right. The ones that like we played with and that were always at the shows, the two ones that became the biggest, the funniest, was like you would have never thought that. Like it's all a bunch of high school kids playing in, you know, VFWs or whatever.
Right.
But Majority Rule were a really bad hardcore band, and then they became really, really good later on. And then Darkest Hour was another one that was just like kind of like really bad death metal, and then they became like the Americans at the Gates, the really big metal band for a while. So it was kind of funny. I didn't really know those guys very well, but those were two bands in the scene that I was seeing all the time. They were just like us, just bad, not really good at playing their instruments or anything, but you know, ended up becoming something.
Right. And so you said you were playing with these people too. I mean, so what were you doing musically at that time?
Oh, I was in this really bad shock rock band. I was playing guitar and bass. It was me and my friend, and we had just kind of a rotation of people, and we had a duck in the band at one point.
A duck?
A duck bassist. That I don't know why somebody sold us a duck, but they did, and then we had it on stage with the bass, like at one of our shows. But it was stupid. It was punk rock. It was very kind of like Meat Men kind of esque. But we were not good at all. Yeah, we're terrible. Yeah.
Well, you were how old at this time?
Yeah, like 15, 16.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's how it goes. I mean, you're learning your instruments. You're learning how to like write songs.
Totally.
Yeah, that's all pretty bad usually.
Yeah.
Usually.
It should be. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're figuring it out, and
right.
But it still was. It was horrible.
Well, that's fine. I mean, so what's your first instrument? Guitar? Bass?
Yeah, probably guitar, and then I learned how to play bass for the band just because we could never find, like, I think we had something like 18 or 19 bass players. It was very much that Spinal Tap position, just keep rotating.
Okay.
You know, and it was me and my friend Ryan who was the lead singer. So we were the constants, and then everything else is pretty much changing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're in high school experiencing DC shows. So I imagine this is where you kind of like get exposed to like Discord Records, Fugazi, Rite to Spring, stuff like that. This is where you're kind of going in the direction musically, like kind of what is now emo or hardcore.
Absolutely not, which was kind of funny because like I absolutely adore Fugazi now, But I hated Fugazi then just because it was so everything in the scene like was Fugazi.
All about
you know,
Fugazi.
it was very much everybody loved him, and I don't know, you're a kid, you got some anti-authority bent, and you're just like, well, I don't like that. But it was End Hits was the album for me that I finally sat down and listened, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, no, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there was definitely a lot. I was definitely probably more like on the Minor Threat hardcore punk side of things, and like metal, and then metalcore and that sort of scene was kind of where I was at and headed. Like all that, that was kind of just revving up the kind of Dead Guy.
Okay.
You know, Dillinger, Converge, all these bands were kind of like just getting going. I was very much into that sort of scene as it was starting.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, so then, now we were here to talk about an album that you chose as being an important or influential album on you. So it's Oxbow's An Evil Heat. This came out in, what year was it? 2002?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh my God, I didn't even take that note. I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, that's a time period for sure.
Yeah, I believe it was 2002, but either way, how did you find that album?
I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure when it came out, I read a review, I think on lambgoat.com, which was a website that I definitely was reading at the time. I even wrote a music review on there at one point.
Oh yeah.
But I found it, and it was just like, for whatever reason, the review kind of stuck with me. It sounded interesting, so I bought it. It was, this was pre-streaming, so it was like put up or shut up kind of.
Right. You had to invest.
Yeah, so I bought the CD, and it was funny. I hated it. I got the CD, and I was like, I don't like this at all. And it doesn't make any sense to me. But there was something there. And, I mean, I think it also helped that there was already I'd already bought in. I already owned the CD.
Right. So you force yourself to listen to it, basically.
Yeah, there was definitely something, because I had bought CDs and then just never listened to them again. So there was something there, but I really didn't enjoy it for, I think, the first year that I had it. And I know, and this was also when I was touring with bands, so I definitely had it on a lot in the van and stuff like that when we're on tour. But it was a slow burn for me, which I think a lot of the most meaningful stuff for me was always like that. And I took my time with it, and they just really grew on me over a year, at least, before I was like, oh, wow, this is good. And then it definitely has been an album that, it's
keeps on coming up.
Exactly. It's a real important crux in that band, I think, because they're a very long band with a lot of catalog,
right,
and a lot of different facets to it. And I think it's at a point between what they were doing and what they became that is really important. But also, if I remember times in my life that I've had like turmoil or something, like this is an album I would go to be in my feelings,
Right. I mean, so would you say that you're a fan of Oxbow in general, or like this was your entry point, and like this is kind of where you stayed?
Oh no, yeah, I'm all in on Oxbow. They're probably my favorite band. Yeah.
All right. And they don't exist anymore. Didn't they break up?
Yeah, just in the last year or so. The guitarist, there's some allegations or something, and immediately Eugene Robinson, who's the lead singer, he just called it a day. Said, nope, we're done. And in fact, he's a real interesting guy, and really smart guy, and he just wrote a big post about they have a whole album in the can, like recorded, and he's like, well, what do I do with this?
Right.
Because
He doesn't want to perpetuate anything.
Yeah, it's tainted. However
yeah.
he does it, and then whatever, if you get someone to invest, like a record label to invest to put
Right.
money into it, how do you say, okay, put money into putting this out?
We're not going to be touring it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a. I mean, you know what? Years down the road, I mean, it could be the fact, like, one of those things been like, oh yeah, there was that unreleased Oxbow album. It's just like, man, I hope they release it like, now.
Yeah.
And like 10 years from now, they'll eventually leak it or release it or something, and it won't matter that they're not on tour. It won't matter that they don't exist anymore. It's just gonna be part of the legacy.
Yeah.
They're a difficult fucking band. You know, I mean, like, so I guess I'm happy to hear that An Evil Heat was your entry point into the band, and that you obviously had a difficult time, like, kind of, like, receiving it.
Yeah. If I was trying to sell someone on Oxbow, this would maybe be the last album I would play for them.
I don't know if you can sell anybody on Oxbow. I think it has to be like you have to give it to them, because I tried listening to some other stuff. Like, I was just like, usually what I'll do if I don't know a band, because I've never listened to Oxbow before, and I've heard about them a lot, so like I was kind of interested in the idea that, like, oh, I get to listen to Oxbow now, and I actually finally get to, like, absorb it and see what happens and see what it's all about. So typically in this situation, I'll listen to the record that you choose, and I'll get through that, and then I'll usually go backwards. Usually I'll go back to the very beginning. Excuse you. Usually I'll go back to the beginning and, like, start with, like, the first album, and then just kind of, like, see how far I can get and just keep on going down the list. This one I didn't do so much of that. I don't know if I actually got through the first two records. I think I listened to them maybe once, and then I was just like, okay, I need something to, like, cleanse the palate. So I went to, like, the newest record.
Yeah.
And I didn't get very far on that either. And I know that one's, like, so much more, like, accessible. It's, like, really straightforward rock songs. But I was just having a really hard time with this band. I mean, it's just like, I don't know if it would have made any difference for you, like, when you were experiencing An Evil Heat for the first time. Like, if you were like, oh, let me listen to some other records, like it would have just been like, yeah, this band's fucking, like, weird and crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's no good way to, like, force it upon yourself. Like, you have, like, or you do have to force it upon yourself until, like, it finally starts to click.
Yeah, it demands attention. Especially this album. I think Fuckfest, like, the early stuff is, like, just so raw and, like, hard in a different way than this is. And then the later stuff, though, can be. There are songs on each of those last, like, 3 albums that you can just put on a regular mix, and people aren't going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
right.
There are definitely songs in there that are, like, sweet, even, I would describe, and, like, they're getting into this very orchestral stuff that is nice and more on, like, pleasing. There still has a lot of other stuff, I think, that is so off kilter you have to accommodate your ears, but it is, like, their thing they do is so vastly different than everything else that I think there's always going to be a need for adjustment on a listener. You can't go in. It's like jumping in a pool, of a temperature you're not used to. It needs time to adjust to it before you can start to really pick it apart.
Yeah, no, and like, you mentioned how, like, you listened to this on tour, like, in the van and stuff. I was just like, there's no way you heard a lot of it. Like, I remember being, like, in the van listening to music, and there's just so much noise going on in the van. Like, there's no way that you could hear. Like, there's, like, so many things that are in this record that, like, you really, really need to, like, sit and isolate yourself and listen to, like, very deeply. I listen to stuff on earbuds all the time. And even that, like, walking around or something, like, you still don't catch it. Like, you have to be looking at it. Like, this is a really great album to have on vinyl, because not only will you probably be given, like, 3 songs per side, but you kind of have to sit in that room with it.
Yeah.
And so then you start to hear the progressions between the songs and how, like, there's, like, every song, like, I mapped it yesterday. I like sat with it and just looked at the screen. I was just like, okay, it's coming down to the last second, and saw how the song ended. And I was just like, oh, okay, it does resolve itself. But if you're not paying attention, it like the next song, there's no breaks between songs.
Yeah.
So like it immediately goes into the next song. And so if you're not paying attention to that 1 second that there was silence, you don't even know when the other song started or stopped.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it feels like there's motifs that continue, that come back in songs later. It's kind of, I mean, to me, it is a perfect album, and it's not just a collection of songs. It's very much a thought out series of songs that all have a lot to do with each other. Right.
So here's a brief quote I have from this website that wrote a review about it from CaptainFez.com. An evil heat, a much more mysterious listening experience, like a book written in code or a fragment of a map. The appeal of this disc is what we don't know about it. And now here we are going to try to dissect it or try to analyze it or understand it to some degree. So the first thing that I found was I found some interviews with Eugene Robinson and Nico Wenner.
Uh-huh.
So I have a lot of like quotes from them that were specifically about this album. And the first one is from Eugene. It says, quote, "This entire record for me documented a certain aspect of something that people question whether it's a real addiction or not. That would be a sex addiction, but it's never that simple. People who have problems with cocaine or with alcohol or heroin, not a single person who becomes addicted to heroin didn't know it was addictive before they started doing it. With sex addiction, there's a knowingness about it. How do you know you're not just a guy who gets lucky? Maybe it's when you realize you're not enjoying any of it."
Yeah, I mean, it's such a perfect encapsulation. I feel like really does capture the vibe of this,
right?
You know, and that's another thing. Like all this, it's a vibe. It's a vibe album. It's capturing a feeling, which I think as an artist is like one of the hardest things to do.
Well, so did you notice that, like when you were first kind of, like, well, let's say like when you realized that you loved it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you realized that the record's important. You obviously, you had a year of like kind of like struggling with it. Did you realize it was a concept record?
I mean, all right, I'm gonna say like, I, even as a lead singer, lyrics are like the last thing I come to.
Sure.
It's the sounds, it's the music, the writing that always like captures my attention the most. And so I mean, I knew it was a concept album in that it felt like a cohesive concept. Yeah. I knew that it all felt like it really fit together well, and that doesn't happen by accident. It's not like you just throw it together and it happens to work like that.
Right.
So,
but did you also kind of grasp the idea that this was like an album about sex addiction?
Not specifically, but I mean, it's like sin. It's like, it's like hell. It's like not necessarily enjoying it. Like these are like feelings that I think come through just musically. I mean, there is this just like Eugene Robinson is almost like on this album specifically is just like a insane priest or something.
Right.
There's so much of that coming off there that there is like vibes. I mean, even not being a lyric person, at one point he just, yells like a handful of ass, or something like that comes through, and you're like, there's sex here. There's definite sex here, and it's not just sexy. There's so much with it.
Yeah, there's definitely like a I mean, kind of to take it from the title, an evil heat. Like there's something sinister about this record, but there is something like inherently sexy about it, or disturbingly sexy to a degree, like depending on how much you're reading into it. Like I didn't really grasp any of the lyrics whatsoever. Listening to it, I cannot honestly say I understood anything that lyrically was happening, because it's so shrouded. Like there's a lot of like weird like multi-layering of vocals, so reading along with lyrics, I could see, oh, okay, so he's got these two voices kind of like interwoven, and sometimes like what's written on the page, like it's still not documenting what some of the stuff is being said, like some of that stuff's kind of just being completely missed. And then whereas when you're listening to it, I'm like, okay, if I can't understand the words as they're being sung, I don't think that they're as important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge lyrical person either when it comes to listening to music. I see it as like it's just another instrument. It's just adding texture. So I think that Eugene Robinson would probably say different, where it's like it's not that the lyrics don't matter, but I feel like when you're listening to this type of music, it's like they don't matter as much only because like you're not really understanding them in the first place. And even reading along with it, I was like kind of lost. I was just like, I don't get what this is saying. Okay, it's like I understand, like based on what I read, it was just like, okay, it's about, you know, sex addiction. It's about like someone struggling with this in some way. I understand that it's a concept record, so all of the songs are kind of like connected in a way, and I must be telling a story. But even that, I'm like, I don't get the story here necessarily. I mean, like it's like kind of coming in waves. It's like a passing freight train. You know, you're kind of just catching glimpses of it.
I'm always drawn. I think I like a lot of different kinds of frontmen or vocalists, but the wild man frontman is always my favorite. I think like the ODB, the Screamin' Jay Hawkins, the David Yao, the Nick Cave. Like it's this lineage of that, and I think people see it as one thing, but they're all trying different things. Sometimes I think for that style of vocals, the lyrics are not necessarily as much to get you to understand the concept as they are to get the performer in the place they need to be to deliver them. They're about creating a vibe for them. It's about them feeling the things they're saying.
Right.
And then that intention comes through on an emotional level rather than an intellectual. I understand the words he's saying rather than I understand the feeling they're trying to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, I think the feeling is more important. I mean, because like there's such like there was no one I could think of that delivers lyrics like Eugene Robinson was doing on this record.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I looked to Eric Paul from Arab on Radar a little bit because he had a lot of that weird kind of like shrill inflection in his voice and in his tone and his delivery, and obviously like the visual of like kind of almost like a self-sexual act on stage, kind of.
Yeah.
I could kind of like see that and hear that, but I mean, like it's so much more like the feeling of what he's saying rather than what he is saying. Like the way he's delivering it's like these like whispering and to shouting to like growling to like all of this weird like just guttural stuff kind of bubbling out of him, I guess.
Yeah. It does. It speaks to you on a primal level, I feel like, of understanding. And so that's why I think, do I need to... I mean, I can dive into the lyrics and kind of piece together something. I was in a Jesus Lizard cover band, and so I had to actually learn all of David Yao's lyrics. And then, you know, there were some that were straightforward. Some of them I'm like, okay, I learned the words. Do I know what the song is actually about?
Right.
No clue at all. But I know the words, and I think it's a similar thing. It's less about just rhyming and you know, here's my idea, what do you think of it, and more about like I'm going to get into the inner you if if you meet me halfway. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think your objective is as the frontman of Mr. Wonderful?
For me, Mr. Wonderful, I have a creative day job, and so Mr. Wonderful for me is always about having fun and trying to communicate that. I do I draw from a lot of, I love to perform, I love to be in the moment on stage with the people that are around me, with the audience, with the rest of the band. I like to just be in that area, and that for me is like blown off steam. It's like fun. And I try to make it as much fun for everybody around me.
So what do you think about lyrically, like when you sit down to like write stuff for Mr. Wonderful?
Yeah, and it's funny because I do like a lot of like serious bands. Like Oxbow's a very serious band.
Yeah.
But I realized very early on that wasn't me. Like I was just writing about funny shit. Like I just, I enjoy wordplay and some fun stuff like that. But for me, it's mostly I'm thinking about the sounds I'm making and then making words fit to that.
Right.
I'm thinking about what I want to do and then having words along with that. So there, because I've already thought of the thing I want, I try to think of something that I think is fun or funny, but part of my real life, just something silly, something I do actually feel, but it's not something that I'm trying to get off my chest.
Yeah, right. It's not confessional in that sense. But I mean, some of it must come from somewhere of a personal nature. I mean, like, so with this album, like, I didn't know if it was like maybe subconscious, subliminal, whatever you want to call it. But being an album that is essentially a concept record about sex addiction, and Mr. Wonderful being so pro-sex. I mean, like, where is your stance on this, or like where, like where is the connection to Mr. Wonderful and Oxbow's and Evil Heat?
That is funny that I didn't actually think of this.
Yeah,
but I think there is something like to that edge, to that like like Herman Hesse wrote these books where it's like you're stoic and then you live in the gutter and that's where you find enlightenment.
Yeah.
And I think there is something to that I always am going to find interesting. It's an edge. It's just not part of this mainstream. It's just a little dirty. It's a little sexy. It's a little, in that realm.
Yeah.
And, it is kind of funny. I can't think of two more opposite albums than the Post-Colonial Jams and my favorite, and Evil Heat.
Right,
They're
right.
just like it's such different, vast directions.
Right. But even going past the newest album, the Post-Coital Jams, I mean, all of Mr. Wonderful's material that you've released so far is all of this kind of like, not all of it, but there's definitely sexual undertones throughout all of these songs,
Yeah.
Even like what you had, the first album was called Hump Day, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, Hump Day.
The second one was recorded down here next to Fantasies, right?
Yeah, down the street from Fantasies. Yeah, I think I definitely I think having a direction as creative always is very helpful. Like having a framework set to go. Like as long as you don't lock yourself into something small, it's a great way to be creative because it really shakes off a lot of writer's block. You just have a thing. So like the first band I sang in, I thought of, it was called Genital Hospital. And speaking of sexual, I thought, okay, I'm writing lyrics. What am I going to do? And I thought, okay, all these songs are going to be instructional. So every song was about how to do something.
Yeah.
Like another band I was in, I did like all the songs were storytelling, but of third or fourth characters in a movie. So like from a point of view that really wasn't explored in the movie. And so for Mr. Wonderful, they were all brags. On some level, I start with bragging about something silly, like having a lot of leftovers in the fridge for Leftover City. Like that I give the best high fives and high five. It starts somewhere with a brag and kind of morphs into whatever it is. But the framework of Mr. Wonderful being this romantic, clad in red velvet, kind of like drawing from that lounge singer kind of idea. But it's all about, getting people into a romantic state. There's always like a sexy sexual element to it.
Right.
And that I think helps the creative process of just something to build off every time. If we're going to do a shirt, what do we do?
Right.
Okay, well, what is some imagery that goes along with being sexy?
Right. I mean, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek or kind of like a playing with the concept, because like Mr. Wonderful reminds me of like kind of like all the best elements of Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the Christopher Walken character on SNL, like that sleazy guy that's just like, you know, spill a fine glass of champagne at me once, shame on me. You know, like it's like this like Leisure Suit Larry type dude.
100%. That's the exact vibe, but positive.
Right.
Like, we don't want to be the sexual predator side of that, but like a sleazy, like, and it's funny because I do think Mr. Wonderful was always used kind of, you know, in jest, or like, oh yeah, Mr. Wonderful over there, like that. That's how I mostly heard that phrase being used.
Okay.
But I didn't ever want that to be this. I want it to be like the ideal, a charming, you know, Leisure Suit Larry without any sort of. I'm sure that I played those games, but I don't remember.
It's like a fun-loving and like cherished quagmire.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's something in those games that would not age well today.
Sure, sure.
But that's exactly the vibe. It's just like, you know, the fun romance side of having a first date. You know, like that fun butterflies feeling, trying to like bottle that up and just have that, not even as a sexual way, but just as a performer to audience way of like, you know, good vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get that all the way through. I just didn't know if subconsciously there was something connecting these two albums, your music and Oxbow's An Evil Heat. So talking about the lyrical stuff, right? So the Eugene S. Robinson singing, I found this quote actually came from a blog, and this is actually a question directed to Eugene S. Robinson, but he didn't answer it in a way that mattered as much as like this question matters. I think you'll understand what I mean when I read it to you. So it says, quote, so in short, infrared sound is low frequency vibration sound generated by certain predators, quote, big cats mainly, to disorient or frighten prey animals. And when they are standing there trying to figure out what is going on, they become lunch. Although humans cannot physically make this sound, your vocal style on An Evil Heat and other Oxbow records has a similar effect. It often blends with the low end and tricks the listener. It has an unsettling effect, and I think it is a really cool approach. It is hard to put into words, but I almost feel like I don't necessarily hear your vocals in a traditional sense, but rather I feel them.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that is like hard. I think, you know, if you showed this album to my dad, all we would hear is like shouting and yelling, and that's not music or something like that. But I think if you actually look at how hard it is to write like he does, to perform like he does, to capture what they captured here, it's a like amazing achievement. And it gets that. It hits you somewhere different than almost any other album I've ever heard.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so powerful lyrically, and just for that reason, I mean, like, I think this guy kind of like in his question kind of like summed it up perfectly, that it is very, very animalistic. Yeah. And it does feel like it's doing something to you, like maybe you don't realize it. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
100%. I mean, that's what I think when I didn't like it at first that I was reacting to, but there was something there that kept me coming back.
Yeah. And you didn't know what it was. It was just like, you just kind of wanted to crack the code for yourself.
I think, yeah, there was some level of that. There was enough there that I was like, okay, I want to figure this out, or, why, sometimes it is as important to think about why you don't like something and why you do like something. Like, that is an important piece of finding yourself, not just do I like it or do I not like it, but why. And I think that's what I kept coming back to. Why don't I like it? And it turned out, as I thought more and more about it, I did. And it changed, it changed the course of my life musically. It put me into different directions than I was probably headed before that.
So, what do you mean when you say that? Like, how do you feel like it affected your musical journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole bunch of different genres. Maybe I was writing off on some level that I gained an appreciation for by finding this one. By finding an appreciation for this one, there were other things that, maybe, I like once industrial and noise bands, but I don't think I appreciated them in the same way as once once you kind of, I think, yeah, sometimes,
Once you test yourself, like you kind of push yourself to this, it's like, oh, I get this now, so that means I might be able to kind of handle this thing now.
And I could say in the opposite way, when we bought a jukebox when we bought our house, and filled it with a lot of jukebox music, pop music and stuff, and I gained a lot of appreciation for that, and that led me down a hole of like, okay, well, what about these songs written just for radio and that sort of stuff? Like, it goes in a lot of different ways, but I think it's important. And this was the first one, I think, that really opened up a lot for me. It forced me inward to explore music.
And would you say, like, as a vocalist as well, or specifically as an instrumentalist?
Yeah, definitely. I was still years away from being a vocalist or like stepping on stage at that point, when this album kind of came into my life. And I mean, I think I couldn't even imagine myself on stage back then, which was
as a singer.
Yeah, as a singer. And even, I mean, I played guitar in those bands and bass, but I mean, that's like a lot of it. I wasn't out front at all. I always had people that were out front, so I could just play the music. And I definitely wasn't performing in any sense. I don't think, as I know it now, anyway. Yeah,
I mean, I guess there's some. This is another weird thing that I don't ever really think about often. Like I do, but I don't not consciously aware of it. But how, like, as a young person getting into music, like, because you obviously started around when you were 15.
Yeah.
Me too. I started around the same time. But I was just like, why did the fuck did we get out there? Why did we get on a stage? Why did we allow ourselves to go through that scrutiny and that stress? Because it was, like, I found it to be very stressful, and I found it like I played bass. So I remember, like, one of the first shows I ever played was like at Club Babyhead on like a Wednesday night, and I was in high school.
Wow.
So I remember, like, being out of the club playing the show, and I, like, didn't move at all, and I was, like, really, really stiff, really rigid, because I was just so afraid and, like, kind of, like, scared. I didn't want to fuck up all this stuff that, like, I woke up in the morning, went to school, and I was just, like, sore all over my body. Because I was just not relaxed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so tense. Yeah. I think we never had a good show in that high school band. Like, it was all just to a few of our friends in big empty rooms that, like, we had pay to play shitty spaces. Right. Like, we never had, which was good. But then when I got to Seattle, I had a friend who talked me into being on a variety show. I was the villain of the variety show. I was the intergender arm wrestling champion. I was straight ripoff of Andy Kaufman. Just at the end of the show, when everybody's drunk, I'd challenge any girl to come up and arm wrestle me, and I'd always cheat and I'd always beat them, and then get booed off the stage. But that show started off small like that, and then grew into like a pretty big show where there's a lot of people. But within that, I just ate shit on stage a lot of times, which is like the most important thing you can do, and just realize, like, especially when there's no band, it's just you're standing on stage and you eat shit, nobody likes it, and then you go through and you realize it doesn't really matter. None of it really matters. It's like the whole thing is so small. But I think that was like a really good, important lesson that you have to learn, because then later on you feel the same way when you're on stage in front of a lot of people. Like, really just, it doesn't, nobody's, people might remember it a little bit, but, like, you're in your head about most of it, about how important it is. It's more important to you than it is to them.
Right. Yeah. Unless, of course, it's transcendent, and then you do make it important for those people too. But no, it is absolutely more about yourself than anything. So here's another quote from Eugene S. Robinson. He said, when love dies, sex is unbridled, fevered, crazy, and so painfully accurate in its take on unrestrained id that I can't even talk about it. Recorded by Gibbs Chapman, who never recorded another record and became a filmmaker instead. That's how hard it was. And that was from Vice magazine.
I love that. Another thing I love about Oxbow is their collection of, they were banned forever, but you look at, like, the record labels that put them out. Right. They're on SST. They were on Neurot, which is Neurosis label. They were on Hydra Head. They were on Ipecac. They were on God, just like every important record label put out an Oxbow record.
Skin graft.
Yeah, and they would just put out one on each one, and they're all, they're recorded by Albini. They have like, all this all-star cast throughout them, and yet, I mean, everybody appreciated Oxbow, but they were never like a big band that was selling out anywhere.
I think that's a little bit of a gross generalization. I mean, I think that Oxbow fans love Oxbow.
Right.
But I think that for the most part, nobody knew what to do with them. I mean, like, they've said it themselves, how it's just like, some people saw Epicac as being the best label for you. Like, why didn't you ever do this before? And for them, it was just like, they just never agreed. They never wanted to. Like, nobody wanted to. Like, everyone that agreed, that put out a record of theirs, was just like, it was finally like their chance, their opportunity, that they were like, oh yeah, okay, well fine, we'll do it. It's just like there was never any plan for this band. Yeah. And they don't fit in anywhere. They say it themselves. How it's just like, I agree with them. Like, listening to this record and a few of their other records, I'm just like, yeah, this band has no genre that they fit into. No.
Even noise rock, which, they built some of the roots for that. I mean, Band for Forever, they are not like Jesus Lizard, where you can say, like, these bands came from Oxbow. Right. They fit kind of there, but they're very much their own thing.
Well, Jesus Lizard has a very much, like, their distinct sound, too. Yeah. And it's not to say that they're, like, what they do isn't unique, like, record to record, but Oxbow is way different in the sense that they will go out on a limb and do something different for every record.
Very much so. I mean, never stop pushing.
Yeah, I mean, from all the things that I've read about them, it's like there's people that say, like, oh yeah, here's a band that incorporates jazz and orchestral elements and noise rock and all these other things. I'm just like, I don't even think I've heard any of the orchestral aspect of their music or the jazzy aspect, but I mean, there's certainly blues, there's certainly rock, and just there's no way to pigeonhole them. Yeah,
and when I said, I mean, they were popular in that, like, they have a very small, probably rabid, definitely one of them, fan base, but like, they weren't ever the band, but everybody knew about them, and I think every band knew about them. Every band.
They're a band's band.
Yeah, I think you could definitely say that. I mean, they were all just such strong players, too, that, you could not, any one of the four of them, you could not appreciate them if you know how to play an instrument.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so this quote that I read from you about Eugene, where he mentions how it was recorded by Gibbs Chapman, who never ended up recording another album after this and went on to filmmaking instead. I mean, I wanted to ask you about, why am I forgetting their names now? What is his name? Help me out.
Nick.
Yes.
Nick
Scrobish.
Yep. Nick Scrobish. Yeah.
Scrobish, is it how you pronounce it? Okay.
Or maybe that's an over-pronunciation that I always did.
That's how we'll say it from now on.
Yeah. But so back, I had a friend in high school, Dustin, who played bass in a lot of bands, and he ended up in a band with Nick. This is probably like 2000, 2001, called Carrion, and they were a kind of prog stoner metal. And that's the first band I went on tour with. And got to know those guys, and then that band broke up, and Nick formed this other band with this guy Nate and his brother Jesse called The Wayward, and that's the band I did most of my touring with, and so we spent a lot of time in the tour van together. Nick is just like an amazing, he's probably the most amazing guitarist I've ever seen. He just like really thinks about it differently, plays in a very unique style, really talented, and that band has gone through a lot of different transformations over the years, but then he started Multicult, so I was like on that bandwagon very early with them. Which this week has been a rough one. Rebecca, the bassist from Multicult, just passed away, which is real sad. She's been dealing with some health issues for the last year, and it's just a bummer all around, because I think she was such an amazing player, and I think she had a lot left to give. But yeah, that's how I knew Nick and how I got involved with him. I've just known him forever now.
Right. So what was the process in inviting him to take part in recording the new record?
Oh yeah, he's been recording for a long time, and I lived all my bands, and I lived out on the West Coast for a lot of it as he started up his recording studio, and he's recorded a lot of really fun things. But I'd always kind of wanted to work with him on that, just because he gets really cool things out of bands, and so we talked about it, and he started with live recording. And I think Mr. Wonderful was having a issue of like, we are a vibe band, but going into a studio and trying to like play the same song over and over again, we weren't like capturing the vibe. We were capturing the song. Right. And so we tried that out. We're like, Nick's gonna come up here. We're gonna go to this abandoned building, and we're just gonna set up a little recording studio, and in a night we're just going to play our set over and over. We're not going to stick on songs. We're just going to go through and record that. And so yeah, I think he was really into that concept of getting back to that idea, getting something kind of raw and live, and that's really what we were going for. And I was just really stoked to be able to work with him because he's recorded a lot of albums I really love. Yeah.
All right, cool, man. That's great. I mean, because I didn't realize that about the recording either. I mean, like we have not discussed anything about the record at all, really. I mean, like you guys basically just kind of gave me the music and the artwork, and it was like, we want to put this out like this in this way, which is a very unique thing too. So. I mean, I have seen you guys play before. I knew you guys were a good band. So it's kind of interesting to hear this now from you, because I was just like, I didn't even think anything about how it was recorded. I mean, I knew you guys recorded it like in a warehouse over here, but I just didn't know what the process was.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, that was really what we were trying to do. Like, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about with Oxbow here is like capture something, an emotional quality that doesn't always exist, and I think it was missing from us. But it was a fun thing. It started with the concept. It started with the concept of a tape, and then me and Paul were in here and we were looking at tapes, and then I was thinking like, what if it was like a pack of cigarettes that's like shaped like that? Because I like, you know, this is all for fun for me, so it's like I like a concept. I like our first record is vinyl shaped like a heart, and our packaging is shaped like a Valentine. Right. You know, like I like building off of that, like the idea of a physical art object that not necessarily, even because it's all, to me, it's outdated. It's like that's not how I listen to music most of the time. It's I listen to digital music, but this art object gives you a vibe. It gives you a some sort of place to start with.
Sure.
So like that started with the concept of like, okay, a pack of cigarettes, and then like, oh, but what if we had a cigarette with it? And like, oh, what if we called it postcoital jams because you smoke a cigarette after? Oh, what if it came with a condom too? You know, and then like Camel Cash. Like, it just it started with the concept, and I think that the recording very much like felt like an extension of that concept of trying to capture that.
Wow. Okay. That's a very like back engineered way to think about a record and a recording, you know, because usually it's the opposite. Usually it's like, well, we got all these songs, record the songs, and then it's just like, oh, how are we gonna put this thing out now?
Yeah.
So super interesting.
We've done it for whatever we put out next too. We've already thought of the object.
Well, we gotta talk about that in secret.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think I should just open this fucking thing already.
Yes. Do it.
Have you opened one?
Yes, I did it right away.
Yeah.
I mean, it was silly too because I put that shrink wrap on there. We had a little shrink wrapping party, and then I took it home and then unshrink wrapped it. Or maybe Brandy did,
with you having to put it together, I mean, I guess that's a little different. I mean, I saw the tapes obviously because I helped make the tapes, and I played the tape. But as far as like cracking open a brand new pack of smokes, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Paul, partner in crime for sure. He,
There's
mean,
a cigarette.
we all like, I mean, I had like the initial thing, and when I'm saying like, oh, and what about this? That was like a band. All of us were, floating ideas, and like thinking about it and what else can we add. But like Paul, especially being a screen printer,
Right.
And a record label owner, or I should say Captain Wonderful, in case he doesn't want his real name out there.
Mm-hmm.
He was
There
like,
it
okay,
is.
this is how we would actually do that. And he did, like, these are all hand screen printed packaging and putting them together. Like, I would have never had any sort of idea how to do any of that stuff. So, like, I mean, he really is the mastermind behind.
Yeah. Well, he has so much experience with putting the stuff out. Mr. Wonderful wants you to protect your wiener or clam cakes. I love it. I can't wait to try this out. Yeah, and so he screen printed these custom made cigarette cartons with the nice like camel mock-up, like, right? It looks like camel. And
Camel with-
hand numbered.
Hand numbered with a rose,
Looks like I'm getting number 64. And then the cassette itself, the music, looks like a cigarette. Looks like cigarettes.
That's the lucky.
And we have, and I got tobacco all over this stuff too, so that's great. That's an extra. And one thing nobody has mentioned or seen, I have not seen this posted anywhere or anything, is the tape itself.
So sexy.
Yeah, that it's a red cassette, and like the lettering on here is beautiful. And then of course the B-side is blank. Well, it's not blank, but that's for you to figure out what's happening on the B-side.
We definitely wanted to, go all the way with physical media. I think there's some special stuff in here, not just physical objects, but like, things that you don't get with the digital release. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I mean, it's kind of an interesting like marketing kind of tool to, like, if you're going to make a physical media, to leave something that's unique to the physical media that people that are buying it or indulging in it like only the digital are going to be missing out on in some way, whether it's bonus tracks or something. I mean, in this case, it is a bonus track, but I mean, it's the whole second side of the tape, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is cool, man. You don't mind if I smoke this?
Go ahead.
I will gladly smoke this and make myself so high and sick.
And it's chocolate flavor. But yeah, we didn't want to get into trouble or anything like that, so
I'm not going to set off a smoke alarm, am I?
no.
I'm sure multiple people smoke in here.
Yeah, we and Matt was smoking one. Dr. Wonderful was smoking one as we were putting them together. Nothing happened.
The doctor.
The doctor.
He's a smoker?
Yeah. Or at least he did.
It's kind of one of those things where you kind of have to, I guess. I mean, if you buy one of these, you have to smoke the cigarette.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're going to open it, you might as well do it, and you might as well use the condom too while you're at it.
Yeah. Do you taste the chocolate at all?
Not yet. Not yet, I don't. It's very, very, very smoky.
Smoky. Yeah.
It's got that smoky flavor to it. So let's see. So here's another interesting quote. This one is from Nico Wenner. An Evil Heat. An Evil Heat was back to the do it till you're satisfied, slow studio work, where we actually cut basics of every song twice, once each in 2 different studios with highly constraining acoustics. The unifying elements are reoccurring musical sequences, sometimes riffs, that show up in different keys and tempos in various different songs, and the idea of a drone. The latter shows most clearly in the 9-person double drum kit live in the studio, 32-minute-long directed improvisation, Shine, Glimmer.
Yeah, the last track.
That's fucking nuts, though. I mean, like, it just shows like the thought that this band is putting into this music. It's not as simple as like, let's go jam for, you know, half an hour or whatever and see if we come up with a song. I mean, they do that to a degree, but I mean, like, just the recording element of it, just like, you know, I think this is actually kind of a perfect way to think about the first two songs. So like the first two songs in the album is The Snake and then the following track, the second track, is The Stick.
Yeah.
So even in the title, you can see that they're connected in some way.
Yeah.
And what they are in actuality, from what I realized just listening to it, is like they're the same song, just done in two different ways.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The whole thing is just so smart. But in the part that comes to me too, and I mean, like, this is, you know, when we came together to form Mr. Wonderful, we kind of said, okay, whatever we do, the basic of it is it has to be fun. And, you know, we've been talking about this album a lot as hard, the smart aspects and the way it's pushing and pushes you, but
right.
It is a riff album too. There are big, like, I don't want to, like, AC/DC riffs, you know, like just big rock riffs in there that once you kind of adjust to the rest of it will be like, holy shit, you know, like,
right.
This is something that makes me, you know, want to dance.
Or if you're willing to stick it out to get to those parts.
Yeah.
Because they're there, you know,
yeah.
like they're in the song, they're in the album somewhere, but you just have to kind of like wait it out to get to those points.
There's just these big crescendos, and yeah, while it is like he's talking about all the smart aspects of the way it's put together, like they do lead to these moments that are like just stirring, you know.
Right.
It is to me at this point like a really fun album when I listen to it, because I feel like because I've adjusted to so much. I don't, to the way I listen to it now, you know, 20 plus years in, is not thinking, it's feeling and just being like, you know, re-listening and being like, fuck yeah, this part is
right.
so cool.
Well, it's also that you know what to expect, so it's
yeah.
like when it kind of gets to that part, because I know the parts you're talking about, because like there's definitely, like, I love this band when they are at their most cohesive, you know. I mean, and I say that in regards to like their rock parts.
Yeah.
Obviously, the band like is completely in sync the entire time, because you can't end these songs like on the quiet note that they end some of these songs in, unless you knew exactly what was happening and what to expect, you know. But I do love like when they rock out. I mean,
yeah.
I think that it's like noise rock at its best, you know.
Yeah, it's different. It's unique, but it is like, it hits you like a good rock and roll song. You know,
yeah.
There's just that feeling. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say about the album in general, as like that we haven't already touched on. Like, there's not much about these songs that I learned individually that, you know, kind of give anything away about the making of them or the concept behind them or anything like that. Because, like I said, you know, with it being a concept album about like sex addiction, it's like there's really not a lot to grasp here lyrically, I don't think. I mean, like, you can probably, you know, make arguments to discuss whatever you want to about it, but I don't really want to get involved in the whole sexual aspect behind it. I mean, as much as, you know, Mr. Wonderful is all pro-sex.
Yeah.
But so Stall Kicker is one of the only songs that I found something about that I thought was unique, because it was like a little look behind the curtain of the album and this song specifically. So Nico says, quote, "The music came from a rehearsal. Our bass player, Dan Adams, came into rehearsal and said, 'My uncle just died.' It was a very spooky night. We were recording rehearsals at that time. We just started playing Stall Kicker. There you have an interesting way to describe Oxbow, these two things, lyrics about sex and death put together."
Yeah. That no, I had not heard that story, but that is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, that song is definitely talk about vibes. I mean, that
yeah.
definitely has those vibes in it. I wouldn't have put it into a context or a framework in my mind saying like, well, this reminds me of like, you know, mourning or death or anything like that. But it's a great song, and it definitely has a kind of a dirgy or drudging sense about it. You know?
Yeah. God. I am, especially this album, I feel like I've never listened to one song at a time. I feel like I listened to the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, okay, which piece of
like, where does
the
that
album
start,
is,
right?
yeah, like that one. And that's not the Jarbo. No. Yeah, that's...
Jarbo sings on S bar X.
Yes.
Which I don't know what that means. Is that like trying to spell out sex, but you blocked out the E? S bar X?
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I mean, can we talk about that for a second? As far as this, like, okay, so one of the first things I noticed about the album, obviously, was like looking at the track listing.
Yeah.
Every single song begins with the letter S.
Oh, I'd see. I think I didn't even pick up on that.
I mean, aside from the first two, which is the...
Right.
But it's still implied. It's
Yeah.
the snake and the stick.
Right, if you're alphabetizing, the doesn't count as part of that. Yeah.
Probably not. But I mean, still, it's like the snake and the stick, S bar X, stall kicker, sweetheart, sawmill, skin, sorry, and then shine.
And I mean, what is the sexiest letter? I mean, S. For sure. Yeah.
Sure.
It just sounds like it, but it feels like it, it looks like it, and it starts the word sex.
It's curvaceous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these guys, I mean, that's the thing with you. When you make something as detailed and put as much thought into something as this,
Yeah.
I mean, that is, I mean, to me, that's the difference between fine art and art is like, it's the purpose. Like, this album was meant to unfold over years at a time. That's truly what I believe. Like, you're not supposed to just listen to it and I get it and move on in any sense of it.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the same thing with between a poster or like an advertisement and a painting. Like an advertisement, you look at it, you're supposed to get the information, take it in, and then, you know, say like, that looks cool, and move on. And maybe it's striking or something like that sticks with you, but I think like a painting or a sculpture is something you're meant to look at over time and have the information
Right.
come to you and grow with you. Like, that is what good fine art does, is that the parts of it unfold over multiple viewings. And I think that, I mean, this is just one of those where the detail and the thought is all there. There's just so many pieces of everything, and I didn't even pick up on the the first letter.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, so this is an interesting thing too, because like, so as this quote that I read to you ends with Nico saying, "These two things, lyrics about sex and death put together." I mean, this is kind of your thing. I mean, obviously we're here in your studio, and Two Thangs is your company technically, or your, what do you call that? Like, is it your moniker for your art, or?
Yeah, probably all of the above. It's, you know, what I make art under. It's you know, how I make a living.
Yeah.
But it's an art concept or project.
Yeah. And so being here and kind of seeing it firsthand, it's beautiful work, by the way, first and foremost.
Oh, thank you.
But the concept of mixing two things, which are, first of all, come from an unknown place, like someone can commission you to make one of these paintings and bring you the two things to bring together, that you have to visualize now and kind of make them cohesive in some way. I mean, so can you tell me a little bit about this process, or like maybe even where this came from, this idea?
Yeah, so I've been doing this 11 years now, and that's basically it, that people come to me and bring me two opposing ideas from popular culture, but that's kind of catch-all, as long as it's not like your kid, your dog, your house. It's like not things that are personal to you. I'll probably roll with it. So like, you know, like I just had an order come in for AI and taxes, you know, like, which aren't necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily call them pop culture, but like they're concepts that everybody knows, that everybody can connect with.
Right.
So I was making art a long time on my own, and then I decided that I got to a point where I wanted to do it full time, and I tried to think up this framework as a way to kind of meet an audience halfway, like where I could make paintings that I want, but not be like trying to huck them to galleries and stuff. After make the paintings and then try to sell them through galleries and stuff is just a very broken system. And I wanted to make paintings that already had a home before I made them. And, you know, I've known a lot of people that have done it and they kind of do it in different ways, but my concept was I like working with people. I like the collaboration of art, and I like being pushed. And so I thought up this framework that I think pushes people to be a little bit weirder, and meet me halfway, and then we make something cool for them to take home.
Yeah. Well, so then, I mean, so I figure like some things must come easily as far as this, like, you know, like the Macho Man Randy Savage riding the Falcor. That seems like that was just came to you immediately as those two ideas are brought together. But the idea of like AI and taxes, I mean, that seems like a visually hard concept to maybe come up with something.
Yeah. I mean, they're all like, I mean, there's definitely some after doing it 11 years, there's some that are more in my bag.
Sure.
And I always appreciate that there are these ones that come in that are left of center, that are pushing me in a different direction. Like, how do I visualize these things? How do I represent them? And like every time I get an order in, I get people 2 to 3 different ways to combine their ideas, and try to tap into like how they see art. What are they looking for by this combination? And so like this Falcor Randy Savage, like I had a few other different options for it, but this one was the, like, you know, I try to go for an emotional content with each different way I'm combining them, and this one was the epic. Like, it was just like, let's make this as epic as possible, which was the vibe of the person who originally ordered it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that it's like, that's what's fun about it, is it always goes in different directions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's great, man. I mean, some of it is so impressive to see. I mean, obviously it looks like this one you're working on still, so it's not completed, but...
Oh yeah, that one is Mr. Miracle and The Great Escape, which are, Mr. Miracle is like an old school DC Comics character by Jack Kirby, so it's going to be very kind of Jack Kirby influenced, and then the Great Escape movie.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's another one that's fun, that I'm getting to play with kind of a comic format of, like, you know, the cells and things like that, which are kind of fun.
I see. Yeah. I get it.
And I mean, that one up there was crows and bars, so kind of a little bit of a pun, but not in the same way that, you know, I've done like Henry Rollins and a liar. That's like a kind of wordplay, but this is just a crow and a bar, which was kind of fun. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. It's great. I love your work, man. It looks great. And obviously you did the artwork for the packaging for Mr. Wonderful as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on. You know, Matt, who's Dr. Wonderful, is also a very good artist, but he has his own band, Magic Thinking Ape, that I think he kind of pours a lot of that into. So I end up kind of doing a lot of our packaging and branding, which is always really fun.
Yeah. That's the thing about artists, man, is that like you have such ability to kind of like create so much stuff for yourselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's something I'm pretty envious of.
I mean, it definitely helps, you know, like there's such different sides to the whole thing, but having like someone who knows the ins and outs of production, like Paul, I'm like, it's just so helpful. Because it's easy to come up with an idea and, you know, I can execute on some level of the design, but like there's so much of the other parts of the execution that I'm lost or learning, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's a different medium really too. So I mean, that's like the whole idea of like making records. And then speaking of like, you know, kind of making art and having it have a designated home as like as soon as it's finished is like that. This is not it.
Yeah.
This is like you're hoping somebody comes along and grabs a couple of these, you know.
Exactly. You're like, you know, I think it works on some level of like, okay, now I have this collection of stuff, which is nice to like, you got the merch box that you bring to the shows or whatever, you know, but that's a little easier because you're going out and performing rather than like having to go through a gallery system or something like that. With
Yeah,
paintings.
right. This is a really difficult album. I mean, there's so much things that are difficult about it, and information-wise, it wasn't easy to come across these things either. But
yeah, I think it's kind of funny because Eugene Robinson just wrote memoir, but it cuts off at the beginning of Oxbow.
Oh yeah.
It goes through his time in Whipping Boy and growing up and stuff like that. And Whipping Boy,
Right.
he played a lot of crazy shows with like Minor Threat, Misfits, all that sort of
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
But Oxbow was started. One thing he gets to at the end as a suicide note. The first Oxbow record was
Right.
a suicide note,
Yeah.
and the fact that people responded to it, changed his idea of it to like continue on.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a very there's a darkness to the whole body of work that continues from something that starts like that. I think, but there in that darkness, there's just this ability to push into different places that nobody's been before.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that also just being
right.
in that time period of the 80s to the aughts and being a band that wasn't breaking through. He did a lot of writing as like Oxbow newsletters and stuff like that about it, but those are all, who knows, lost to the world,
Right.
email lists and stuff like that. And they weren't, it's funny because like you told me that there was no lyric sheet, and I remember visually the lyric sheet, but that was the CD, and I'm pretty
Right.
sure they never released this as an album when it came out.
Yeah, probably
that,
not.
like later on they went back and did their own album releasing.
Right.
That's why there's no lyric sheet with it, but there
Sure.
definitely was like liner notes and writing within the
Yeah.
CD.
Okay. I'd be curious to see how accurate those are anyway.
Yeah.
Could you pull that up a little bit closer to yourself?
Yeah.
So just in closing, I have this one kind of long quote here. I believe this came from Nico Winter, and this came from Vice.com. So he says, the way we write is closely tied to recording and has been almost always this. I take music I've started by myself that is nearly complete, almost finished song ideas, and assign them to lyrics that Eugene has already completed. I'll bring that music to Dan and Greg, usually with a clear suggestion for a bass line and drum part, which together over many rehearsals they will without fail improve on and sometimes radically alter. Sometimes they will do the same to my guitar and piano parts. When we've as a group arrived at an instrumental song which takes into rough account where I think the word should fall, before recording I'll assign specific lyric stanzas, lines, and or words to musical events like verse, chorus, bridge. Often I'll suggest repeating a line or a word or stanza, and then we will record the music and usually arrive at something very close to the way we rehearsed it, unless the goal involves improvisation of the whole or a section. Then Eugene will perform the lyrics and often arrive at something quite different from my meticulous suggestions. The last few records we've recorded the vocals to digital, which allows me to tweak the fairly improvisatory vocal performances. So all of this just to say, to kind of put an image in your mind about like how serious they take this recording and like the process of recording their music. And so I kind of just wanted to, take this opportunity to ask you, well, so how seriously does Mr. Wonderful take their music and the recording process of their music?
I mean...
Push it towards you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
I think we all... I don't want to say we take it as serious, but, I think much like that, what he's talking about there, all the best bands are an involved process of everyone that's everyone that's in the band. It's just, I always think it works so much better when four players come into a room and work stuff out in that room together as a unit, like not separately. I mean, everyone brings in ideas, but
right.
Like what he's talking about of like, okay, I do it, and then they come in and they play these other things, and then they work out their own parts, and they work out how the song should go. And him and Eugene are coming in with this stuff already ready to go, and then figuring out how to orchestrate it. That's a lot of what we kind of do together. We kind of get in a room and figure it out together. We, unlike Oxbow, our goal is to make things as fun and straightforward, but as weird within that, like so much of it is, intro, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, using that as a template, but trying to make the interplay between the instruments within that interesting,
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, in some ways we're doing the same thing, in some ways we're doing the exact opposite.
Sure.
But it is interesting to hear how that whole works, because we write insanely fast. We already have 4 or 5 songs past this last thing we put out, and that's with missing a whole bunch of practices. Like, we can bang out songs so quickly and then work on them and refine them as we're working on new songs.
Yeah.
It's really kind of the most fun writing process with a band I think I may have ever had, because it comes out really easy. It's not labored over for months and months. And I think that comes out in the music too. So like in that way, we're doing the opposite again of An Evil Heat, where you could tell they were just working on this music over and over again.
Sure.
Writing the songs that way and then getting in the studio and recording them that way. It's just so detailed, so thought out, so different everywhere. Whereas we're like, okay, what if you did this? Oh, what if I did this? Oh, and that's they're trying to get that vibe out of music, which I love, and then we're trying to get a very different vibe out of music.
Yeah. Well, they grew into this whole thing too. I mean, this An Evil Heat came out 5 years after their last record, Serenade in Red, I believe it was called, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, they gave themselves a lot of time to come up with these things, and maybe that's just what they need. That's their process,
Yeah.
That's the time they need to make this stuff. You guys are more of a punk band in the sense where it's just like, you get in, bang them out, you can write songs pretty quickly in that regard. So, I mean, it's great to hear that you guys already have some new material. Obviously, we'll figure out what happens with that in the future. But, the new record, Postcordial Jams, is out now on cassette. We're selling them at shows and everything like that, online, on Bandcamp. So when is the next show?
We're working on that because I have Two Thangs has a big art show up in the main gallery at AS220 in August. So I'm trying hard to work with AS220 and to book a show there with some bands, but it's difficult.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm struggling with that a little bit right now, because that's the only Providence show we have on the books right now, is trying to work that out in August. But we do have a show up at O'Brien's in Boston in July, and then working on a show at the Middle East upstairs in September.
Oh, nice.
So we got those 2 on the books, but we're trying to figure out something here in town.
Right.
But,
Okay.
always difficult. But hopefully we can get it together soon, because, then it's hard to book bands if you're up on it.
Well, I mean, it's always good to have the band, doing at least a show a month at least. Yeah. So whether it's in the city or not, I don't really care if you guys play Providence or not. I mean, as long as you're playing other places, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's better for the band anyway, I'm saying that in a general thing. It's just Providence band should stay away from Providence for the most part.
There's so much around here, it's there's so much in striking distance. But it's just, that's also what I found, is that the scenes don't really talk to each other that much, which is, you meet other bands, but the venues, I mean, it's also just a cultural change in venues. They're not looking for your band to come play their first show in the town, so they're not really willing to help you out like they used to. Come over and play a show here, and we'll book some local bands around you. There's no person like that anymore in a lot of states.
They want you to do everything.
Yeah.
They're like find the local opener for your show, or the local headliner or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, so with that being said, I mean, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Matt, thanks for talking with me, man.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Vinyl and Vision is a Psychic Static production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins of 123 Astronaut and Orbit.